our financial policy on the rest of the world, then our money would probably collapse very quickly.
There's never been a government that wasn't owned by the rich.
If there's no store of value, then that we're going to do all this stuff and we're going to tax the rich, but it's never happened.
DJ Badger coming at you live with Dad Influence.
Alright guys, we're here for another excellent episode of Dad Influence. As always, I am walking away from the camera. Most important amendment to the Constitution. And the reason I say it's inarguably the most important is because it has been important the most times. You know what I'm saying?
Can I contend that from a meta perspective?
Say that one more time?
Can I contend that from kind of like a meta perspective?
Go for it.
Not like a... Sure. So, like, you might be right, like, practically in terms of, like, how much it's, like, come up in the law and, like, what of the specific, like, ramifications have been towards it. But I think that freedom of speech has, like, laid the way for, like, an entire kind of cultural movement the past, like, 300 years. And, you know, other countries might not have it enshrined in their constitution, but, like, other people in liberal democracies do value it, you know?
Yeah, and that's kind of what I would say is, honestly, like, we talk a lot of shit about how, like, we have it enshrined in our Constitution. It's like, yeah, but we kind of treat it the same way as everybody who doesn't. Like, we honestly, I think we, having it enshrined in our Constitution should have it be a lot more extreme in this country than it is in other countries, but it's basically identical. It's like, until it gets really an issue, you can say whatever you want.
No, because like in so for instance, what look in England, right? Like, do you know about the guy in like the Nazi dog? I don't remember his name. That's some stupid thing.
Oh yeah, the guy was like making his dog do a Hitler salute or something.
Yeah, and like he literally like got tried, and I don't think he actually did serve jail time because of like the backlash. But one, that kind of backlash only existed because there is that kind of like culture in the Western world of like you need to respect freedom of speech, and they don't have it in their laws, so that's why he was able to be tried for it. Whereas that would not happen here, you know, that like, you know, just having your dog do a Nazi salute on the internet, that's not going to be illegal anywhere in America.
Well, yeah, yes and no, and this is kind of what I'm getting at. It's like, if you look back in our history, right, you can look back and see that, like, for example, during both World Wars, actually, like, anti-draft speech was harshly restricted, and people were literally sent to jail for it. So, like, that actually did happen in our history. If you look at right after 9/11, there was a lot of government literal pressure and threats to a lot of these social media sites to take down a lot of what this content that terrorists were putting out. You know what I'm saying? So it's one of those things that, like, you know, while, you know, you can. We all disagree and agree here and there on when it's, you know, appropriate, but the truth is that, you know, the government does police speech here.
So, I mean, and to a degree, I mean, one, I think that's fine because you do need to find the instances where that's acceptable, because to say that there are no instances where it's acceptable to police speech is just... It's very ignorant of the realities of the world. Like, if somebody is actually making, like, a threat against, like, oh, I'm going to bomb this school, it's like, you can't say that, right?
Right, but I'm just kind of making the argument that, like, to pretend that it's any more extreme here than it is anywhere else. It's like, The reason why, like, they literally, it's like when that speech is seen as a threat, the whole idea of freedom of speech kind of goes out the window. And I kind of think that's interesting given the fact that it's the point of freedom of speech.
Well,
You know what I mean?
I think what sorry for the
But that's getting off on a tangent. I'm not trying to complain. I will say, like I said.
Oh, Daniel, don't interrupt me. Stop.
No, I'm going to say whatever the fuck I want. Go ahead.
Cute. Look how cute you are. Look at how cute little smile. Okay, so first of all, I'm very tired. I did not sleep very well last night. So that's why I might be slow or I might be fidgety and weird and loopy. But really quick, I'll say that I agree that the government has done things that would not be in line with the First Amendment in the past, particularly right after the founding of this country. I think John Adams did some of the most flagrant infringes on the First Amendment that like ever happened in terms of the government. But we recognize those in retrospect as like violations of the First Amendment, and they give us precedent for consequences in the future.
Dude, why is this thing trying to update Steam?
It's time to game.
That is something I am not thankful for. Quit updating shit when I'm doing shit. But anyway, no, like I said, but that is the part that I will actually 100% agree is like relatively, like considering the world, we have hella free speech. The shit that I talk about the government would not even be half possible in a lot of countries.
Well,
you know
it
what I
might
mean?
be possible. So, you just might not be saying it that much longer. Daniel went on vacation. He went to Cyprus. He decided it's very beautiful. He's gonna live there forever.
But I'm just saying, like, that's exactly the point. Like, there's, this level of shit talk, I'd have to be under a pen name in a lot of places. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like, I really think that's, something to be said for the U.S.
Yeah.
Not like I said, I don't think that it's by any means that is definitely something to be said. For sure.
I appreciate that a lot. I think there are certain values that we have here in America that a lot of other people don't. A lot of other countries don't. Which I wish that they had a little more American values. So, for instance, one thing that I'll always talk about is like one of my favorite things of all time about America. Something I'm incredibly grateful for is that we do not have an ethnic national identity. Literally anyone is an American. I'm a Mexican American. My friend is like a Korean American, and it's like we're all just Americans at the end of the day. It's like no matter where you come from, no matter what you look like, you're an American. I could bring a British person, a person from China, a person from Sudan, right? I could bring them all in the same room, and I could say this is an American person, and if they don't talk, you don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
You never know for sure.
Yeah.
And it really is, yeah. It really is. That is a very beautiful thing too, And like I said, I think it's what's brought us a lot of awakening across. And this is kind of why, like many times I've talked about numerous, that I believe, like generally, like 99% of racism is pure, just straight ignorance and lack of exposure.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? Because, like, if you look at, like, the giant strides that America has made, and then you go and you compare it to other countries, you know what I mean, that have made similar strides, you can notice that no country is making strides against racism that isn't multicultural. Point blank in the story.
That's true. That's true.
You know what I mean? It's just point blank in the story.
Like one thing that, and I know we disagree on this point. We don't have to get into it, but America has a law, and several other multicultural countries have a law where you cannot discriminate against people based on race. Like if you walk into a restaurant, they can't be like, oh, you're white, bye. You're black,
Just to
bye.
make
I
a
don't want
quick
you here.
clarification, because
Yeah.
he says that we disagree on this. I want to clarify
You
that
can, yeah, just make it sound like
do
you
not
don't. Yeah,
disagree that you shouldn't discriminate. I would like to make that very clear. But go ahead.
yeah, yeah. No, Daniel's not a racist. He disagrees on the principle of the law. But one thing that happened to my best friend in Korea is he was in the Korean countryside, and that I mean I think this happened even twice, where he was kicked out of a restaurant for being white, and I thought that was really despicable. I thought that was really horrific. Same thing happened with COVID. A lot of restaurants were discriminating against foreigners, white, black, whatever. If you didn't look Korean, they didn't want you there because they thought that you were sick, and just because there's a bunch of stuff on the news about foreigners having COVID. And I thought that was pretty fucking despicable. I thought that was absolutely horrific that is allowed in the country. Particularly, that best friend that I mentioned, he's fluent in Korean. He is more Korean than some Korean people I've met. Yeah, just because the way they look like, he's discriminate. I don't think that that's cool. I think that it's important to
Because that shit ain't real.
customers. True.
That's why I say it's like that's one of the big recognitions. It's like I understand they're useful, but we all have to recognize this shit ain't real. Korea isn't real. You know what I mean? It's not a real thing. It's just an idea in all of our heads. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean,
the same way that like race isn't real. You know what I mean? It's just kind of an idea and a pattern that we've decided to group things together in. If that makes sense.
Yeah, but I think like whenever we say like something like race isn't real, I think we're more referring to like the idea that like people having a so whenever people say race, right? They're like, oh, you're white, you're black, but if you really like break it down, those things just like don't really work, right? Because you're trying to speak to a genetic component about the person, but all you're really doing is pointing out their skin color, and I mean that has nothing to do with like your
that's kind of what I'm saying. That's kind of what I'm getting at. Is it's like, you know what I mean? What looking at Korea, right? To say that you have to be Korean, you know what I mean? They're talking about a racial thing that they have predefined as this genotype is now Korean. But in reality, like you said, it's like the dude lives in Korea forever. He speaks fluent Korean. He's assimilated into the culture. He's fucking Korean.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you have to realize that it's an idea. And if that guy has assumed the idea, then he's fucking Korean.
And I mean, I think that's what I think that should be
multicultural.
Sure, yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Is like this is the beauty of what multicultural countries have realized. Is like once you assume the idea, you're that. Period.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Once you assume I'm an American, you're an American. Period.
Yeah.
It's an idea. All it is an idea. It's not a piece of land. If it was, then what is Alaska? You know what I mean? Off in the middle of nowhere. What is Hawaii off in the middle of nowhere? What is Guam or Puerto Rico?
Yeah,
right? It's
Guam,
not the
Puerto
land. It's not the language. Again, look at Puerto Rico. Look at Guam. It's not the language. It's not even, honestly, the culture. Again, the culture in New York City and the culture in Texas is nowhere near close to even the same. You know what I'm saying? It's just the idea that we're all Americans. You know what I mean? And it's like, that's kind of the thing. It's like, if you've bought into that idea, then you're an American. If you've bought into the idea of Britain, you are British, you know? It's the same thing with Korea, and that's the problem with these monocultures, is they haven't came to that realization.
Yeah,
I don't believe that realization is brought by law. I believe that's brought by the society just coexisting together. It ends up that way.
I agree, and that's actually one thing that I've really enjoyed about England in the more recent years is uh, that they have become more multicultural, as more like Polish people, Pakistani, Indian people have begun like moving into the country. But it's changed a lot, which is which is really nice the past like 20, 30 years. I mean, have you ever seen the show Father Ted?
Say that one more time.
Have you ever seen the show Father Ted?
Father Ted, I have not.
Yeah. Well, it's an Irish TV show from the '90s, and there's this really beautiful moment that I love, where it's like it's about like the clergy, right, and a bunch of priests are all together, visiting this one priesthood in Ireland during one episode, and the maid for the normal cast of priests comes up to a black priest, and she's like, "Oh, well, I so appreciate you, Father. It's so nice that we have a representative from Africa over here. How do you feel about that?" He's like, "I wouldn't know. I'm from Donegal." I love that. I'm like, hell yeah, dude. Black
That's
Irish.
just kind of my point. It's just like, and it's the same kind of idea like I make with the whole dreamer thing. It's like that's the reason why dreamers, both right and left, even the right wingers who are hardliner immigrations, almost all of them are like, yeah, that's kind of fucked up. Dude's lived here his whole life. He's bought in. He's been to school here. The dude's an American.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's just basically like that's kind of the way we see it. And it's honestly half the reason why we believe in a naturalization process. It's kind of like we want you to really say that you want to be an American. And it's like, I'm not opposed to a process, and that's kind of what I've said before, but it's like, dude, it should be cake. It should literally be like that. It's like, hey, I kind of want to move here. I think this place is dope. To me, that's good enough.
I think it should be easy enough that, like, at least 40% of the American populace could pass those tests. My stepfather just recently got his citizenship, I think earlier this year, maybe late last year, and that test was horrible.
Here's how we fix the country. Here's how we fix the country.
Yeah, what's up?
I got you.
Yeah, go ahead.
The citizenship test, everybody has to take it to vote.
I wouldn't. Oh man, no, I don't
if you think it's too
just,
hard,
yeah.
you think it's too hard, make it easier to be a citizen.
And
if you don't think it, if you think it's I think that's fair though. Like if you're over here expecting these people to know all about this just to be here, you should fucking know it if you're going to be deciding shit.
So, I used to have opinions like that. I think like 10 years ago I agreed with you, but these days I'm really of the opinion that I want as few barriers to entry for voting as possible. Even if you know like fuck all about the country, I still think you deserve to be represented. Which sucks because you get people that don't know what they're talking about and they vote for the guy with the funniest name, but that's their right to do that, as annoying as that is as a concept, I think that's important to protect as an idea.
Somebody's going all extremist on us.
I'm pretty extreme on that
necessarily, point. And it's not even necessarily me saying that I don't even think that they're like only one test. You know what I mean? I'm like, you can sit there and take that test 786 times until you get that. You know what I mean? I don't care.
No, I know.
I'm just making the point. Like the only reason I would say anything about it that it makes any sense to me is it's like I feel like you and I don't even think that I think the test they give out now currently is too hard. But I do think a basic civics lessons, a basic civics questions like how does our government actually work? You know what I mean? And I think that should be like that's what I'm saying. It's like whatever you're voting in. It's like if you're voting in the fucking Alabama state election, you should know how the Alabama government works. You're over here picking the mayor and you don't even know what he does.
So here's here's something that I thought about quite a while ago, and here's how I would tackle that. I think rather than doing something like that, I think I would just propose a more, I guess, a more positive reinforcement kind of way. So let's say you get to like the polling station, right? And you don't know anything about politics, right? You just go here because you're like, whatever, it's voting day. I got the
I'm
day
cool
off
with it being
because
an
it's a
open book
holiday in
test.
Jonathan's school future. What?
I'm literally okay with it being an open book test.
Okay, well that's fine, but wait, okay? 'Cause
Like,
I'm
I'm
about to
at
say
that
something.
level. Like,
I'll
just so I
say
know that you
something
had to
cooler.
fucking know the answer to fill it in.
All right, I'm about to say something kind of cool though, because I think this is a good idea, and I
Okay.
think what you should do, whenever you get to any polling station, and there are a number of candidates, is there is a big poster, right, that shows all the candidates, and for local elections that have like a bunch of people, like 6, you might have to change this a little bit, but let's just say it's 2, or let's say it's 3, right? So the first thing that it'll have is there will be like a big plaque that says, "This is the mayor," right? These are the main summarized duties of the mayor, like selects chief of police,
Right,
puts
that's
people
kind of
in
what I'm
charge of
getting
like
at.
city council. Yeah. And so that you would have that, and then you would have the candidates and their pictures and their main positions. And I don't know, I think that's a great idea, right?
The only thing about the main positions part is I just feel like that could be, number one, abused. Number two, it's like some things are hard to be succinct. You know what I mean?
Uh, I
You
suppose
know,
so,
some
but
ideas are
I
very
think the city
nuanced.
I think the city would just say use a different idea. So you would say like, okay, pick 6 positions that you hold, right? And you could put them on there. It's a maximum of 7 words, and if you can't fit it all in the thing, pick a different position, right? I feel like that would be kind of fair, you know. You could say wants to dismantle the Fed. That would fit on there.
Right. But like I said, like, legalize all drugs. It's like, it's a lot more nuanced than that. Like,
Sure, but
you
I
see
mean,
what
you
I'm
could say
saying?
like, yeah, I know, but you could word it, you know, you could word it in like a more fanciful way, like, you know, drug liberalization or decriminalization, or, you know, extra, let's say,
It's just like
pharmaceutical
when I said
liberty.
that before to somebody. I remember explaining that to a buddy of mine, and the first thing I was like, "Yeah, I think it should all be legal." And he was like, "Wait, what? Even heroin?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he was like, "Bro, that's crazy." And then I was like, "Well, let me explain it to you." And then I started talking to him. I was like, and I just asked him a bunch of questions. I was just like, "What did we learn from the 1920s in Prohibition? Like, drugs themselves became more dangerous and full of poison. People didn't know what they were getting, right? Gangs started controlling the inner cities, right? And people didn't stop doing the drugs, right? That's what we learned from Prohibition. So why are we doing this with every other drug? Like, we know what the consequences are, and we know that it doesn't solve the problem. It's kind of one of those things that I don't want people to do drugs, but I realize it's a problem we have to live with. Kind of in the same vein that you're talking about
I got an extra thing.
with people voting that probably shouldn't be.
Yeah, I got an extra thing, and I did think about this before, but I forgot that I
And
had
I'm
this position
thankful
over there.
for
Was
marijuana
that you would ask
becoming
them,
accidentally legal.
Daniel, stop it! Stop having ADHD! Cut it out. Take your pills. Okay. So, ooh, that gets me wired. But now I'm slunking back into sweet surrender of dreamland. You could also have pamphlets, right? Where it's like, here, this pamphlet has more detail on all those positions that are like, you know, summarized up there.
I
That's
think
not
it's
bad,
illegal,
right?
actually, in a lot of
What?
places. You can't have any, like,
So,
campaign material within so many feet of a polling place.
okay, well, I mean, in the specific way that I'm doing this, everybody would have equal access to that, right? And it would be done
Right.
by
I
the
know.
city.
I'm just making a point that, like, you might
Sure, sure,
have
but
trouble
it's
getting
not.
past the people who would have issue with that being the case.
Perhaps, but I would just say to
Just
them,
making the point, and then there's
it's gonna
also the
be
issue of,
equal and
like,
decided by the city. Yeah.
and then there's the issue of, like, where's your cutoff? How much percentage does somebody need before they get listed on that roster? Because, truthfully, like, at any given time, there's, like, 386 people running for president. We just only know
Uh,
about, like, the top 5. Some people only the top 2.
I would I would say that I think I think personally the system that we have now for deciding how many votes gets on kind of the national stage, I think is pretty fair. Because hey, you guys are on every ballot. That's all I'm saying. Like
And you know
nobody
why
votes
that
for you
is?
guys. You guys get on every ballot.
You know why? You know why we're on the ballots now? Because
Because
we got a high enough
America's cool.
percentage.
Yeah.
Truthfully, like that's actually why our
Yeah,
percentage has been
well,
steadily
yeah, I know.
rising, which is
Yeah, I know.
another
Yeah,
thing I'm
that's fine.
thankful for.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. Fair enough.
Because, like I said, it has been steady rising. It's like that's something I'm thankful for here in my home state is we are officially a third party on the ballot. Like it says, Republican, Democrat, Libertarian. Every single ballot, no matter what you go for, you can straight party vote all 3 because we've hit that level of percentage.
Yeah, that's
I
good.
never straight party
I mean,
vote
for you.
because I like to pick and
Yeah,
choose sometimes.
yeah, for sure.
Because,
He's
like I
like,
said, like I've told you before, it's like I do realize that there is a power of a swing vote in certain situations, but it's like sometimes things are dead to rights, and my vote is better spent playing percentages up that can later help my party in the future for viability and, like I
yeah,
said,
I,
getting on
I,
the
I
thing
suppose,
and people
I
people
suppose
looking
that's
at the
fair.
ballot when they go to vote for student council president or whatever. I don't know whatever,
So,
but like whenever they go and they vote, and they see on the ticket libertarian, what the hell is this? And then they go home and they're what the hell is a libertarian? You know what I mean? That is so powerful. You know what I mean?
um, what was that? What was I going to say? Right, yeah. I understand that you do want the freedom to, like, you could vote for Spike Cohen one day, right? But then the next day, we'll vote for your other favorite people, Hillary Clinton and Dick Cheney.
Oh man.
I get you,
Come on,
Daniel. I know
let me
you.
ask you this. Let me ask you this. Let's be fair.
Sure.
You have the choice between Dick Cheney and Hillary Clinton and Spike Cohen, right? And let's give it's a future where it's a fair toss up. Any of them could win, right? Who are you actually voting for?
I think I would probably kill myself, but I'd probably vote for Hillary Clinton, unfortunately. But I mean, that
Golly,
feels.
you still don't think Spike's the shiniest of those turds? I don't even
I
think
just
Spike's
think.
a turd in that situation.
I think Hillary Clinton's policy positions were pretty good even in 2016, even though she's an awful politician and a shitty person.
Let's be honest, dude. She's just a neo-hawk that's gonna capitulate to all of that shit anyway.
I don't think so. I think that the Democrat Party moves very, very far to the left during the Obama administration, like from 2006 to 2016
I
or
disagree with that.
2008.
I think that was more of a optics thing. They optically moved to the left, but they didn't really move to just kind of like honestly, truthfully, to an extent, like Trump, like rhetorically shifted to the right, but like he wasn't really that much far right comparatively to many Republicans.
Well, I
Like
mean,
a
his
lot of the
policy
stuff that he
positions
did.
were policy positions were quite moderate, which is the only reason why he.
That's kind of what I'm saying. It's like it wasn't really that. It was just more what he was saying, and it's kind of the same thing with Obama. Obama really wasn't that far left. It was more the shit that they were saying that was pissing off the Republicans.
I'm not saying Obama was left. I'm not saying Obama was far left. I'm saying from the time from 2008 to 2016, the Democrat Party was considerably to the left.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. That came from a lot of the rhetoric, and that's what I'm saying. They became a lot more rhetorically left. And then, like I said, but like, you know, you can look through the Obama administration, not to spend too much time on this, but you can look through the Obama administration, and I'm not just talking about just Obama and his people in the executive branch. I'm talking about, like, looking through Congress and looking through the Senate, and you can really see that they're not as lefty as they're screaming they are. You know what I mean? They're like, yeah, we need all this, and then they're in Congress
I'm not talking about individuals. All right, I said the party moved to the left.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. The rhetoric. That's why the rhetoric probably moved a lot more to the left too. And I think a lot of that had to do with Obama and how his rhetoric was in the beginning, and he was trying not to lose that base, if that makes sense. That Democrat base that was the hyper left that really liked him for, you know, the healthcare stuff, you know, the things like that. They were thinking basically he was their ticket to universal healthcare type guy, know, as he was kind of calling himself to be.
Well, I mean, he definitely really lost a lot of their support after his first term, I think, because after he like reneged on.
But that's what I think made the second election so goddamn close, was because he lost a lot of that base.
Well, I don't think that base was very strong to begin with.
And honestly, I think the reason Trump lost his reelection, a lot of the fuck it, we'll give it a shot people. You know what I mean?
I think it's well, okay. So a considerable amount of people are.
The Dave Smith joke, it was Hillary Clinton or what's in this box, and you were like, so, I'm gonna have to look at that box again.
So one thing was okay. So one thing was with Trump was. People always like think of things in terms of like just like Republican and Democrat. Like, yeah, Trump has like a hardcore Republican base, but after how hard he screwed up COVID, it's like there's no way independents were voting for him.
Well, it's kind of like also like you got to think of like the what did you have to lose thing, and I'm not saying it necessarily worked on the quote unquote African American population as he meant it to, but I'm saying that kind of statement really did string true. It was just kind of these same career politicians. This chick is the epitome of that. At this point, what do you have to lose?
Well, apparently, we had quite a lot to lose. We had perhaps thousands of people to lose.
He lost that play. You know, that card.
Yeah, he perhaps.
It's hard to play all you got to do is elect somebody who hasn't been in this swamp the whole time, and everything will be better. It's hard to play that card when you've been there now for 4 years and everything isn't better.
Well, not only are things not better, you're currently in the midst of an emergency which you deliberately ignored, downplayed, lied about, and then the consequences of it were horrific.
Which, like I said, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying he didn't do that. But I will say, to be fair, everybody was kind of doing that.
Not to the degree that he did with the level of responsibility that he had.
Wasn't Nancy Pelosi doing shit, like big stunts of going down to like Chinatown and saying, hey, there's no problem, you guys are crazy, this is just racist?
I don't expect literally anyone who is not in Trump's cabinet or at like the... Well, okay, so one thing that...
But that's kind of what I'm saying is, there were people making a show of it on both sides, kind of.
Well, okay, yeah, but I don't care about that, though, because there were like the head of the CDC did not know as much as Trump did, and like that was known. So Donald Trump's talking to like Bob Woodward, right, in that one interview, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I know how dangerous it is. I know how horrible it is." And again, literally, even at that time, the head of the CDC did not have the information that Trump was getting from places like China, Korea, Japan.
Which is
right?
ridiculous. There's something I'm not thankful for. I'm gonna go off for half a second. Bro, like, don't keep science secrets. What kind of shit? When there's a fucking pandemic, why are you keeping secrets from each other about what you know? That's retarded. Like, is that not fair to say?
Okay.
It's like, ooh,
so,
we got this cutting edge. We can't let it leak to the Chinese because the Chinese might develop a vaccine before. Let's be real, that's what they're worried about. I want to be the guy that developed the first thing.
No, I think when like things were initially coming out, people like really had no idea what was happening, and
But even still, like,
it was
Trump
Trump's job
should not
to
know
give that
a damn
information.
thing. We're gonna have a CDC, right? For the purpose of a fucking it's the Center for Disease Control. The president should not know a damn thing about any disease that guy does. The head of the CDC doesn't know. Period.
So I agree with that, but really we're just speaking about we're not speaking about.
And if
like,
there's a CDC called something else in China, in Brazil, everybody should know the same shit.
Stop, right? Because what we're speaking about is not like a prescriptive issue. What we're speaking about is an administrative issue.
Right, and it happens,
it's like the CDC
like
did not have the
FBI and
power to
CIA.
communicate with those people.
Have you heard about, like, the FBI and the DEA, like, stinging each other? Because they're both running undercover operations from both ends?
Okay, I don't want to hear fucking anything from the conspiracy crowd when they're like, oh, they're all in on it together when shit like that happens, okay? the idea, like, when you actually know how our government works, and you're like, oh, NASA and the FBI and the CIA are all working together to prove that the moon landing wasn't real.
No, yeah,
I'm like,
that kind of shit is crazy.
God.
No, like,
no,
dude,
beyond that,
like,
beyond that. Well,
if
the
you're
reason why
a
it's crazy,
true-
beyond the concept,
the real
is
conspiracy theorists, that the intelligence agencies hate each other.
Oh.
The real
And-
conspiracy theorists know that the only way you're going to find out anything about what the CIA doing is if the FBI leaks it.
Yeah, and that's
Like,
one of the
how it
reasons,
works.
and that's one of the reasons that Watergate was so important, because it showed a key flaw in the administrative state, that the president could systematically take the leaders of the FBI and the CIA, and he could kind of control the narrative with both of these things and orchestrate something like Watergate and the covering. And since then, yeah, we're fucking divided as fuck, and the CIA don't know shit, the FBI don't know shit, the DEA don't know shit, and all they know is what they know. That's it, you know?
Yeah.
Boy, I love
And that's
our
kind of what
government.
I'm saying. It's like, yeah, the Department of Justice and the, Department of Defense, yeah, like, I would say outside of the actual military, like, they joke about it, but they don't actually hate each other. If that makes sense, it's like a rivalry more than it's a actual issue. You know what I mean? But, like, when you start getting into the, like, administrative part of it, oh yeah, they are fighting. They're sharp elbows. Because it's like, the money that's out for the Department of Defense, the Secretary of Navy, Army, Air Force, all those people, they are fucking elbowing each other trying to get every dime they can get. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So like,
You know what I'm saying?
when I'm speaking about like how when I'm speaking about something like that, right, where
And I think that exists also in, like, FBI, CIA. I think, like, low-level officers probably don't really have that kind of rivalry. I think it's more up in the upper echelons they're elbowing each other. And I think a lot of it's probably for a lot of the same reasons. I got money to spend out, Department of Justice money. Who am I going to give it to? FBI, CIA, NSA. And they're all like, well, I've caught 19 terrorists. I've caught, what I'm saying? They're out there sharp elbowing. And I also think it's part of how you get like these, like the Gretchen Whitmire case where it was like 14 people and like 13 of them were fucking agents. And it's just like, I caught a kidnapping plot. It was like, it was one dude and you like convinced him to do it. But it's just like so they can put numbers up on the board and say we did something. And then, hey, congressman, make sure we get our money.
You know what's been more kind of fun since like I've learned about politics more? It's whenever I watch a TV show and I watch like the cops doing something and I'm like, it's like entrapment though. Yeah, because like they don't know what the police are like actually allowed to do, so they're like, oh yeah, we got the guy and we got him to admit that. And I'm like,
that shit's thrown out in court, dog. He's going home.
oh my god.
He's getting away with all 6 of those murders, dog. You just fucked this whole thing up.
It's hysterical. It's really funny. And I mean, that's one of the reasons why Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad are so good, is because like they actually know the law and they respect it.
Agreed.
So when you watch one of these like shitty cop shows and they're just like, yeah, we got him, and in the interrogation room, I beat the shit out of him, and I'm like, oh, okay.
Or it's like when they're over here, like walk up to the door and they got their gun out and they're like, I hear screaming. Do you? It's like, yeah. And of course, there's no screaming.
Oh my god, yeah,
and they kick the
door in. It's like, oh well, these guys are not the good guys.
Body cams aren't real, dumbass. Like I think that shit might have worked back in the day, though. But yeah, like generally, that's another thing I'm thankful for: body cams, dash cams.
Oh yeah, for sure. I'm glad they're more prevalent.
Not to say that we have gone where we need to be, but we have a lot more police accountability than a lot of places.
Very true.
Speaking
as a hardcore Democrat leftist over here, fund the police. Don't have them be on computers from 1995. Have them have body cameras and storage facilities for them.
Fund the real police, not the road pirates. How about that?
Well, I mean, do you want abuse from the road pirates? Come on. We gotta have storage for them. You know, the cloud storage.
Like I'm saying, it's like when people say fuck the police, they're not talking about the SVU.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just saying in terms of like, body cam. One thing during like the whole like Black Lives Matter stuff that I learned about was all body camera footage is kept in cloud facilities, right? And if they can't afford to have that, then the footage gets cut. Like they just
I think
like
that
throw out
should be
the footage.
live streamed.
Yeah, it'd be nice, but I mean, again, it just
because I guarantee you, there's enough TikTokers out there to make this happen for us.
I like that idea. Yeah, I like that idea. Always being held accountable.
Somebody's watching. I guarantee you.
Yeah, really, really important for the police to constantly be held accountable.
It's like, see, like everybody just underestimates the beauty of crowdsourcing things. Like.
Oh, have you ever... Okay, not to spoil something for you, but have you ever seen Eden of the East?
No.
That's a good-ass anime. It's 11 episodes long, super short and sweet.
So
they do something in that you really like.
You know about the Great Emu War, right?
Oh yeah, the Australia thing? Yeah.
Yeah, so like the Australian military was fighting, like they spent shitloads of ammunition, like a hell of a lot of money, and like they did not do very well at all at killing these emus, right? And so
Yeah.
they basically gave up, right? But a lot of people in the story there, but what they don't tell you is what they did instead was put a tag on these emus that gave people money. So they basically put a hit out on emus, right? And that worked wonderfully. So, like, they just basically was like, hey, you guys figure it out and we'll pay you. And people figured it out.
Mhm.
So, I'm just kind of making the point that crowdsourcing is better than government. Always.
I
At killing
you know,
emus.
at killing emus, I would say of the one example we have, I agree with you. But yeah, for real.
But I mean, it's a lot of the
can be.
reason why we put out tags for certain animals throughout other places hunting. It's because
Yeah,
emulating
but
that.
really, to get to the heart of the issue, I don't like to use the government where I don't need to or where I think it's inefficient. I just think that the government can be an important tool for helping society.
Oh yeah.
And so, um,
But just saying, if you got an emu problem, don't send the soldiers. They'll lose that war.
Post it on Kickstarter.
Just be like, I'm starting an emu killing fund.
Crowdfund. Crowdfund the emu war.
But yeah, it ended up being a lot cheaper though. That was what was kind of interesting. It's like the amount of money they were spending to have the military out there with trucks and like a mounted machine gun and all the fucking ammo. Like the amount of money it ended up costing versus the amount of money it ended up costing per tag. They ended up being a lot cheaper per emu.
Yeah, because I remember there was something about like a bunch of like the cars would break down and like the gasoline and stuff, right? That was like some of the issues. Like some of the issues with it. Like you're right. It was not that they weren't killing the emus. Yeah. It was the cost of the resources required.
Correct.
Which is funny.
Yeah. Well, like they were killing the emus, but like the thing about emus what's kind of interesting is it's a behavioral thing that they have. Is when emus go in and get attacked, they scatter. They don't herd run. They just take off in all different directions. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? And it's one of the ways that they've stayed, alive. It's just one of the things they do. Instead of all running together, they take off in different directions and scatter. So only a couple of them will die in a attack, right? Mm-hmm. So when these guys come up and they start shooting at these groups of emus, they're flocking, scatter off, right? And these things are giant birds, like they're huge. So like they take more than 1 or 2 bullets to take out. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So because of that, it was like, you might only get like 1 or 2. You'd start on that guy and then you just have to stay on him until you took him out, and then by then everybody else got away. So then you went driving around looking for emus again. And it just cost so much resources, where if it was just like guys were just out there farming doing their thing and they saw an emu, they were like, hey, that's fucking $4,000. You know what I mean?
I'll take 4,000 Australian dollars, which is equivalent to $4 American dollars. I remember when I was a kid and I would see do you remember those book fairs?
Yeah.
I remember they always had the price in Australian, Canadian, and American dollars, and I was like, in America, this is only like $8, and in Australia, it's $15. That's dumb. And now I know why. Thank you.
They were here wrecking. Mm-hmm. Fucking poor Australians, man. Why are they charging them so much?
They're shelling them out.
Is this racism? Is this what they were talking about when they were explaining racism to me? Like, Canadians get charged this much, Australians this much?
Australians pay a premium for Junie B. Jones, Daniel.
Oh, sweetened tea. So,
All right. Well,
what are your plans for this beautiful Thanksgiving coming up tomorrow?
okay, yeah, sure. So, Liam, my stepbrother, he's 6 years old. He's in town. And I've been taking care of him the past few days, and
Yeah, and he's adorable from what I've heard on the phone.
yeah, he's very cute. I'm gonna go over to my parents' house and we're gonna have a nice Thanksgiving meal with Liam. And afterwards, I think we're going to finish Ratatouille, which we've been watching over the course of 3 days because he gets bored.
It's amazing.
Yeah. And then this weekend, I'm going to be prepping for the next release of The Astral Age. Yeah.
Fuck yeah, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, we got a lot planned.
But you gotta send me that. You gotta send me that link where I gotta buy it because I got the money to buy it, but I can't remember where I gotta go. Yeah, text it to me or whatever, or send it to me on the phone, and I'll go ahead and do it.
Yeah.
But
No problem.
while I have the money, because like I said, I promised I would, and I will.
All right, thank you.
But like I said, anybody who has the money to drop, definitely drop it on the Astral Age. When he sends me this link, I will add it to the description here, and I will add it to the Facebook announcement in both the group and on the Dad Influence page. So
That's awesome.
you guys,
it.
if you guys really appreciate what he's doing, you know, buy this man a cup of coffee or something. And go ahead and hook the man up. If not, then, you know, wait your extra week and read it too if you ain't got the money. Because this man, like me, is a fellow broke person and understands that everybody don't have money to drop on things right away. And sometimes they do it later. So
yeah, I hope
that's why he keeps that shit out there for everybody. And I, for one, highly appreciate it. It's the same model I'll do if I ever archive. Is I'll probably, you know, run the recent episodes for free and the old episodes for pay, or run you a week behind like I do with the Facebook group to the thing, which of course I'm not actually doing with this episode for a Thanksgiving treat for everybody. It's going straight to public. And that is what I will end with. My last thing I'm thankful for, and that's all the people who have stuck through and with me through this whole thing. Everybody who is a loyal viewer, everybody who pops in from time to time, you know, everybody who drops a comment. You guys are all highly appreciated because, like I said, everything boosts me in the algorithm, lets me talk my crap to more people. Maybe one day I'll get some money for it and we'll have better equipment and you guys won't see all these huge, horrible technical issues. Maybe I'll actually be able to hire a producer. We can pop out like clips and shit.
You could have your own Jamie.
That would be sick.
And you would call him Jamie, even if his name is Tom.
But thank you guys again. I appreciate it. What were you about to say, my good sir? Because I know you were about to say some shit.
I wasn't really. What did you say?
I thought you
start
were
a sentence.
Say something.
My brain. This might be my brain not working with the lack of sleep.
Oh, well, could be. But my plans for Thanksgiving is I'm going to go see my brother-in-law.
Yeah.
We're going to have a dope little Thanksgiving. We're going to have some turkey. We're going to have a good time. Good time.
That's
There's
beautiful.
a question. What are you eating? Tofu? Tofurkey?
Yeah. Yeah, my mom made, ever since I was a kid, yeah, she's been making a tofu turkey, which would probably blow your mind with how good it is. It's kind of crazy. Other people have
I'm
eaten
not
it who are
that
not
huge of
vegans.
a fan of turkey
Wow.
unless you deep fry it. Turkey's just not a fatty fowl, so it's just real dry.
Yeah, I hear that. I hear every year people talk about how bad turkey is and how it's the worst part of the Thanksgiving meal. It's just really funny.
Unless you deep fry it. If you deep fry it, it's pretty close to chicken. Then it's like, oh, I could eat this.
Yeah.
Smoking it's pretty good too,
Hmm.
but it's so fucking takes so much time.
Yeah. I yeah, no, oh my God, and my mom always makes pumpkin cheesecake. It's unbelievable. It's
Bruh,
what
I'm
I'm
gonna
most
make peanut
excited
butter
about for
balls.
tomorrow. Like,
I think I'm gonna make peanut butter balls.
I've
I
been on
like
a
homemade
diet since.
Reese's,
Yeah, I love that. That sounds wonderful.
but
Um,
like you can put your own like proportion, whatever you want. You make them smaller, it's more chocolate, less peanut butter. You make them bigger, more peanut butter, less chocolate.
whenever
It's your
I,
world.
I don't, I don't. Oh, you're the creator. That's Bob Ross. Um, so I've been on a diet since January, and I don't eat a lot of things that are not completely soaked in protein. And on my birthday, I got to eat some sweet treats, and now on Thanksgiving, I get to eat my mom's pumpkin cheesecake. I'm gonna gain 14 pounds, completely destroy all my diet. It's gonna be ruined. I'm gonna be a fat, disgusting loser for the rest of my life, Daniel.
It's one day. Have a good time. Enjoy
Yeah,
it. Like, spend some time with your family, your friends. Make sure everybody you know and love knows that you love and appreciate them, man. Like, you know, it's a good time to really do that. Whether or not you agree with the like first Thanksgiving or any of that stuff, that's kind of irrelevant to the idea of of a Thanksgiving in general. I think it's a beautiful idea to
yeah,
have to sit here and give thanks to each other for what it is that we do for each other. And man, like I said, like I really think John has been for the podcast, the group, man. Like there's nobody who admins on the level of John outside of myself. You know what I mean? He's in there and making sure that everybody's staying civil, and I really appreciate it. It is it is an amazing help, all the things that you do, and
thanks
and
so much,
and
man.
I also
I'm really
really
glad to hear it.
appreciate that. Like, dude, when I'm bored on my lunch break, I call this man and we chat and yap 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 yap, and he is a great buddy from just, being able to bullshit about politics to just bullshitting about life in general, what's going on. Like, definitely appreciate you, John.
Yeah, I appreciate you too, man. I think you're a very good friend, Daniel.
I appreciate that. I definitely make a big effort to try to be there for all my peeps that are there for me because, like I said, it means a lot to me, and those type of people aren't common. So when those
Yeah,
people come
I
around, you
agree
got to
with that.
invest in them. You know,
For sure. I mean, it's I really do think about it a lot lately. How much I value the people in my life. How I suppose I've picked out who I think are the best people, and I think that you are the best people, Daniel.
I appreciate that. I really
Yeah.
do. Like I said, I
Well,
know we fight, we argue every now and again. I interrupt you because I'm ADD as fuck, and
I know.
I don't
I
mean to
still love you.
disrespect you, and you know I don't.
I know.
So
I
I
know. I know.
appreciate that.
I
I appreciate that you realize that, and that's why like anytime you're like, hey, you're interrupting me, okay.
yeah.
And
I
like I
just need
said,
to
it's like
call.
it's me.
I just need to
I'm ready
say
to
that
go
you're
adapt.
short and fat, and you don't even have a beard. And
Obviously,
then
obviously,
hands in there. Daniel gets it. He's like, "Well,
totally
hey
get it.
now, don't go hurting my feelings."
Well, actually, like last time you started insulting me, I joined in. So like,
Yeah. That's
because I found that to be the best way to deal with it. Like literally, if you're dealing with actual bullies, it works too.
Yeah,
Like,
that's
you're
true.
a piece of shit. You know what? You are right. They're just like, wait, what?
That's what I used to say. Those were my magic. Those were my magic words in League of Legends, World of Warcraft, Call of Duty. Every single time someone would be like, "You fucking gay loser," I'd be like, "Yeah, I guess I am." And it just get really sad. It worked every time. It's like it would go one of two ways, where like they would just stop talking, or they would be like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, you are," and they'd try to like really double down, but it was clear like it was just very empty. I've just hollowed this out for you. You're not having fun anymore, and I know it.
The joke isn't funny if they're making it too.
Yeah.
When somebody's being a bully.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's still funny, that just tells you that person's not necessarily being a bully, they're just joking around. To be honest. Because sometimes people say mean things and they're just fucking around. And they're that type of person. That's
Yeah.
how they fuck around.
Some people are from New York.
I do.
Well,
I'm that type of guy. I was at work the other
Uh-huh.
day, and I said that to somebody, and they're like, I was literally like, I come to work to talk shit and get shit done, and they were like, you talk a lot of shit, and I was like, and I get a lot of shit done. He's like, you do get a lot of shit done.
All right. Well, I think I'm gonna go pass out.
All right, appreciate you guys again.
Yeah.
Peace.
All right. Bye-bye. All right.